obviously innocent until proven guilty. All of this holds true. But when it's this many women and it's this modus operandi where he's going to Instagram and DMing women to meet up with them, it seems like a bit of a habitual thing with Deshaun Watson, at least trying to contact masseuses this way. John, you've been in that city for so many years. You've covered this league for so many years. If something's going on, typically you hear about it or someone's saying something about it. Was there any inkling about this going on with Deshaun Watson from anyone you've talked to around that organization or around him?
Well, no, but when it was one-on-one, nobody would know that. This was all Watson. It was all each masseuse. And according to the lawsuits, nobody else was involved on Watson's side. This is something he did on his own. He was importing them from Georgia and California, and there's no need because there's like a million masseuses and masseurs in Houston, and a lot of them were from Houston. But players do things on their own. Teams can't keep up with them once they leave their facility. And you don't hear as much as you used to about players because last year we couldn't be in the facility. We couldn't talk to players. Everything was on Zoom calls. And because they limit time with players so much, and a lot of them don't come in the locker room to begin with, you don't get time to just sit around and BS with them and get to know them like you used to. And so I have no idea if people knew it. They probably knew that Watson liked massages. Going back to the Oilers in 1980, I've had so many players tell me they spent their own money to bring in masseuses and masseurs to give them deep muscle massages during the week multiple times because it helped them get over the soreness of a game and also help them get ready for the next game. And teams employ them. So you can get them from the team too. But most players I know get them privately. I've seen players say they spent over $100,000 a year on personal people to help them recover from games and get ready for the next game, even though the NFL offers it. And it's almost like a part-time job staying healthy. So the fact that Watson had a lot of massages by a lot of people doesn't surprise me, but the accusations sure did.
McClain from the Houston Chronicle with us on Outkick 360. John, have you heard from any Texans players in regards to coming out and saying anything about Watson?
Will Fuller, former Texans, did his initial news conference with the Miami media on Zoom, and he spoke up for Watson. There's been a couple other players, but because players don't know what happened, that's like I run Texas Sports Nation, our sports website, a mailbag every Friday. Those things can be like 300 inches long because ordinarily they were complaining about the coaching and the playing in the front office, and now I've told them I'm not letting people say they know Watson is innocent or guilty because they don't. I've had a lot of former athletes reach out to me and say, "Oh, he's a nice kid. There's no way he did this. The Texans are trying to make him look bad. No player's ever going to sign there again." And I don't point out 31 have just signed here because they're going to come back and say, "Well, I mean, good players," and they'd be right about that for the most part. But people are staying quiet because they want to see what happens on this. And even if he pays the settlements and it goes away, eventually he'll put it behind him and he'll play great for somebody. And it'll be like Ben Roethlisberger and Michael Vick and others. Ezekiel Elliott suspended 6 games. It'll still be out there. People will remember it, but it won't be talked about. And that's why maybe a team will try to lowball them at some point and say, "Hey, we'll give you a first round pick to take the problem off your hands." But I would imagine there'd be a huge public outcry if a team did that. But teams make controversial moves all the time. You have that initial outcry and people go on and on like it's the end of the world. But then eventually they start playing and fans are fans and they're going to be cheering for the player no matter who it is, whether it's Antonio Brown or any of the other guys who've been suspended. Brown, just while he was suspended once, they still haven't concluded the investigation that's been going on over a year. And meanwhile, he won a Super Bowl ring.